This is the Pam Sowder Podcast. With over 2 decades of field and corporate experience and voted one of the most influential women in direct selling, Pam helps mesh the daily needs of distributors to everyday life challenges. It's time to get over yourself, fire up your productivity, work less, and live more. Learn the self-limiting hashtag F-bombs holding you back, fear, frustration, and failures, and turn those F-bombs into friendships, fun, and freedom. Ready? Let's get this party started.
I am so excited to be on this podcast today. I have the amazing Denise Walsh. I've known Denise for over a decade. She is a Black Diamond with It Works Global. And for those of you who don't know what that means Denise made in excess of $100,000 a month for 6 months in a row. Wow. And not only that, she's become a personal friend. She's a mentor. She's helped millions achieve their dreams. She is on a direction and a path that is her ultimate passion. And I am so excited for you to meet her today. Denise, welcome.
Thank you, Pam. I'm really honored to be here.
You know, this is going to be such a fun time with you today because we've been kind of giggling in the last couple months. There's a lot of fun things happening with you. I've always thought you were amazing, and now it's just amazing over amazing. So tell everybody a little bit about your backstory. Why it works. What were you doing before?
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely have a ton of fun, which is you guys just another reason to get to events.
Yes.
But I've been a part of It Works for almost 12 years now. It's crazy to think it's been that long because it seems like it's flown by. But prior to that, I was a clinical psychologist and I got my master's in clinical psychology. I really have a heart for people, a heart for believing in people and helping them kind of become their best self. And I thought that psychology was my way to do that. And it just didn't take long in the corporate world to be tired, bored, burnt out. And I lost my passion. I got to this place where I thought, maybe this is just my lot in life. This is just my piece of the pie and I'm going to have to get used to it. And I'm really grateful that God had other plans for me because I met my sponsor, Cammie, at a small group at church. We joined the small group. I got to know her. Brandon actually played basketball with Mark at our church, and we got to know the family. I became a customer, and a couple weeks later, we upgraded to become distributors. So this certainly wasn't in my radar. I did not grow up with entrepreneurs. I really had no idea what I was getting myself into. But I knew that I had a heart for people and I knew that I had a heart for health. And Brandon saw the vision for the company. So we jumped in and within 2.5, 3 years, we both were able to quit our full-time jobs and we haven't looked back. I mean, it's been such an amazing journey.
You know, when I think about both of us and, you know, we've had a lot of great conversations. We've grown so much emotionally. We've grown so much, just in our minds in general. I always say people don't have a brain cell for this or that. How would you say that? How have you grown?
Oh my goodness. What I have loved, so loved and appreciated about our company is the feeling of home. I feel like when you're in a team and you're connected with like minds and you're all working towards goals, you feel safe. Like we have a safe community here. And I have felt safe. I have felt loved. I have felt challenged. And because of the community, I feel like I was able to plant roots and grow. And I think that's when walls come down. That's when aha moments happen. That's when, there's just a lot of growth that happens when you feel safe. And I felt safe here. So my growth has been in every sense of the word. First, it became in belief in myself. I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't really understand this type of business. I wasn't an entrepreneur thinker. So I had to learn that I could do this. I had to create a vision for this type of industry, for being an entrepreneur. I grew in that. And then I had to grow in how to duplicate and how to teach this to others and call the best out of others and help take them on a journey. And it's really been a space to grow, a space to redream, a space to connect. And I honestly don't know of a better place to do it.
All right, so I want to talk about one more thing, and then we're going to go fast forward. You were going after Black Diamond. This was a pivotal moment for you, a moment of growth, not only financially, but there were some obstacles in your way that you didn't even realize. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, people, it's funny. They see the stage, but they don't know the tears.
Yeah.
They don't know the effort that's put in. They don't often see the behind the scenes. And we were working towards Black Diamond for about 3 years. And the first year, I thought it was in the bag. Like I thought it was. I just thought we had it. And we had 4 months under our belt. And as Pam mentioned, you need 6. And my mind started going to like, what if it doesn't happen? Wouldn't that be so funny if it doesn't happen? Wouldn't that be so crazy? Oh my goodness. And I hadn't learned this yet, Pam. I was not yet at a place where I was capturing my thought and retraining my brain and, being focused on what I was thinking about. And I just let it consume me. And I laughed about it. I just entertained the thought. And I remember you called me like the next month when commissions, you guys could see him in the E-Suite. And you said, Denise, you didn't make it. And I said, Pam, I've been thinking about not making it all month long. And you said, Denise, you did it to yourself. And I thought, I did. Like I talked about it and thought about not making it all month long. And it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call that we truly do become what we think about and to really take our thoughts seriously. And this isn't just a nice thing to say, but it impacts our physical world. And so the next year, to be honest, I was a little bitter. I don't know if anybody's ever set a goal and went for it and then didn't make it. I was a little bit mad. And so I'd say all the right things, but in my heart, I thought, yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's not going to happen. And so when it didn't happen in the next year, I thought, see, I told you. I think we do that often too. But we don't often believe it or own it. And so it doesn't happen. And then year 3 was where I really learned how to marry the two, because I knew that if I wanted something different, I needed to do something different. And what's really kind of cool is that year we happened, which I don't believe is a coincidence, right? But we happened to plan a Come As You Will Be party in August of that year. It was 2015. And at this Come As You Will Be party, we pretended like it was the year 2025. And let's be honest, my whole team was mad at me for planning this event because they were like, I don't even know what I want to do next week. How am I going to know what I want to do in 10 years? So I prepped them. We did a lot of Zooms on what do I want to do, what do I want to be, ideal day. We did a lot of clarity type exercises to prepare for this event. And what that in turn did for me was help me get really clear. And I created a business card. It said, it works first, triple Black Diamond. I created all these things and we brought it to the party. And that month was going to be month 5. So I had 4 months under my belt again. And it was this dreadful month 5. And I started to have that doubt again, the same doubt as in year 1. But this time I had learned these skills. And so I retrained my brain. I took my thought captive and I thought about hitting it again and again and again. So multiple times a day, I would have fear bubble up, but I took it captive and I thought about what I wanted instead. And Pam, we were at that event when I got a text from Mark that said, you made month 5. And I really do believe that party was a pivotal moment because not only was the event itself so fun and powerful, but it was all the focus and intentionality that came with preparing for it that I believe really not only allowed me the space to retrain my brain, to take my thoughts captive, focus on what I wanted. But then I got so clear that I knew. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. I knew, it went from my head to my heart, and that made the biggest difference in the world.
A lot of people are listening are going to think, well, what? Well, what work did you do? How'd you do it? And it's explain that because you've gone through a lot of work since then. You truly understand retraining the brain. So you're on a different journey now, Denise. You're just learning more and more about who you are, the brain, how it works, how powerful it is. And I think once you dive into that here, they'll start to understand the how better. And that the how is second It's not first.
Oh my goodness. So that is honestly the question I get asked the most. How? Tell me how. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And you guys, we answer that question. Build your network, generate leads, follow up with them, go to expos, book parties. We answer those questions. But the more important question, in my opinion, to ask is like, who do I be? Because I was doing the effort all of the years. I've stayed consistent with generating leads, following up, connecting with my team, charting, all the things we do in our business. That hadn't changed. What changed was I got crystal clear and I believed it. And so that is like the question to ask is, who am I? Like, what do I want? And how can I be that? What would an ambassador diamond do? How would they act? How would they be? And really embody that. Because for me, I was so strongly already believing that I was Black Diamond that when it happened, I was like, oh yeah, I know. It's a deep-seated confidence that can only come through intentionality, because before, when I didn't have that skill, my thoughts went wild. They were all over the place. And often when they're all over the place, we gravitate towards fear. And what's interesting is that fear is not happening now either. So it's like we talk about debt or bills or what if I lose my job, or what if someone gets sick, or what if. And often that's not happening right now, but yet we live in that negative fear-based emotion. What I learned to do was to say, what do I really want? What is the vision of my future that I want to create? And I chose to live there because our imagination is powerful. And what we fear isn't usually happening at this exact moment. So neither is necessarily the vision for our future. We're going to live in one of those places. Obviously, I'm living in the here and now, but my heart and my focus is on where I want to be. So I see myself 3 steps ahead of where I am today, and that keeps me so excited.
When I think about it, people live in the past, which a lot of times is not a healthy place for them to live. They live in the future, and typically that's not healthy either. Even though you're creating that healthy environment for your mind, they're living in a state of fear of the unknown. Fear, you sit here. Just give you an example. Someone says something to you. Oh, I need to have a meeting with you, and let's say it's your boss, and oh gosh, what if I'm going to get fired? Oh Lord, what if oh gosh. And your mind takes off when you get to the meeting, you sit down. He's like, I love your work. I'm going to give you a raise. And you're like, holy crap, for 3 days, I couldn't even sleep because I'm worried. Why do we do that, Denise?
Oh my gosh, we do it all the time. We stew on things that are just not true. And it's not happening. And I think it's part of it is human nature. Part of it is this, we get to learn this skill. And when I do, because I still do this sometimes, where you find yourself going down that rabbit trail. And the question I have learned to consistently ask myself is, what is true? What is true? Mm-hmm. And in that situation, the truth is he asked for a meeting, period. Right? There's no good or bad attached to it. There's no negative. It's just that's the truth. The truth is I'm doing good work. The truth is I'm respected by my peers. The truth is, and we have to consistently come back to that present because that's part of retraining our brain. That's part of taking our thoughts captive. That's part of really gaining a handle on, we always say your calendar either runs you over or you run your calendar. And the same is true with our mind. If we don't be intentional about our thought life, then it can run us down a road we don't want to go down.
And that's what I see with most people is they're allowing that mind that is programmed from past experiences, past peers, parents, teachers, coaches, people that have been a part of our lives have truly affected us, some in very positive ways. I've got some great thoughts of mine from my professors, what they said to me, which empowered me to move forward. But I also have some really sad, unempowering moments that I can go back to. What do I do there? Because they're real. They happened. They spoke into me. But I know now from all of my learning and understanding and just getting quiet that that was who they were. That had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do believe that forgiveness and kind of cutting the ties of any of those emotional strings is probably one of the most healing pieces of our journey. But you have to acknowledge it, bubble it, allow it to come up. If we stuff it, I find it doesn't typically go away on its own. So there's a season of grief or acknowledging and all of that. But then we get to ask ourselves, now what? Now what? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want my relationships to look like? And the sentence that I've really learned to not only forgive myself for maybe mistakes that I made or questions I did or didn't ask, or not standing up for myself, or situations I wish coulda, shoulda, woulda, all of those things. And then even others who I thought, well, I wish that you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I find that the question or the statement that I've come back to is, I did the best that I could with the information I had at the time. They did the best that they could with the information they had at that time. And now that I know better, I'll do better. And I have to trust God in the process, trust my relationship with God in the process. And forgiveness is a choice that often we make daily, but it's a choice that sets us free.
Yeah.
And when we are set free in that way, we really then are in a space to create our dream life.
Oh, I love that. Now, you've created a journal, and you talk about a morning routine that was foundational to your success. What is that, and why is that so important? Because that sounds like my Create My Day that I did 2 decades ago that now I'm living.
Yes. Okay. So, well, I love pouring into my team. I love doing leadership retreats and all of that kind of thing. And I thought, how can I reach more people? Because there's a lot of people that will benefit from this stuff. And that's where the journal came into be. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, well, what do you do? What does a black diamond do? If I were a fly on a black diamond wall, what would you be doing all day? I'm like, probably the same as you, following up with leads, generating leads. But one of the things that I feel like I do intentionally, consistently, that really does set me up for success is a strong morning routine. And in this morning routine, this is a 30-day journal. It has a space for a morning prayer. The next section is called Eyes Wide Open, where we really get to acknowledge where we've seen God's presence and love throughout the day, the week or day before. And then it goes into a gratitude game, because part of the journal is, again, the being. And really getting into alignment and creating a space where we're expecting amazing, awesome things to happen throughout our day. So at the beginning of the journal, it's really aligning with the Holy Spirit. It's the gratitude game. It's having our eyes and heart shifted to what is working. And then we go into prayer, meditation, and then journaling. So that's the first couple pages of the journal. This is just a space to be. I find that I can talk to God a lot, but I don't often choose to sit in silence or meditate or listen. So that's an important part of it, is to just simply calm ourselves and be.
I think I take a walking meditation on the beach. I get by the water and I get so inspired, and I run back to the car and put in my notes whatever I heard. And I truly believe that I heard from God. I got inspired, and it just wells up inside of me. And then I know I'm on the right place. And if I don't come back and write it all down, it just goes away. Is that similar to what you're talking about? Just getting quiet? And that could be like a lot of people say in the shower, they get these inspirations.
Yeah, it's getting quiet. It's allowing your joys to bubble up. It's allowing the Holy Spirit to speak with you. You'll one space I do this is in my war room, and this is a closet downstairs in my extra bedroom. I created this space where I could write and put things on the walls and not have my kids tear it down. So that's a quiet place. And I love doing my journaling and listening and speaking out loud in there. But I also do this in my living room with my kids running around, and that can be okay too, but it's the consistency that really makes a difference. And so the first part of the journal is allowing that space to journal, to ask, to connect, to align. And then the next few pages are all about the question of, what do I want? So we then write down our dream life goal every day. And as you know, it took us 3 years to hit Black Diamond. This is not a goal that is going to change. This is a goal that you're going to be intentionally focused on. So every day you're going to write down, my goal is to, and then we've got a space for I am statements, affirmations that are connected to the goal. So you're writing it down. That's part of the head to the heart part. Not just you want it, but you begin to embody it. We're changing your brain as you go through this, because the more you do it, the consistency of it, you start to believe it. So you write your goal. There's I am statements connected to it. You write those down. And then there's a space for visualization. So what does life look like when you've already completed this goal? And again, this is just a way for you to start really embodying what you want to see. And then the second part of that is, what do you do? So this allows us to create a 6 list. What are 6 things or 5 things that you can do today that are going to take you towards your goal? So this is not laundry or take the kids to school or any of those other to-dos. This is, what can I do today to take me towards this goal? And I think that this is really important, because sometimes we say things like, I want to go diamond. And so your goal is, I want to go diamond. And then, but what can you do today that's going to take you to get, because it's those consistency going in the same direction is what creates momentum. So then you can write your 6 list, and you check it off, you feel progress. Even if you don't see the fruit of it yet, you feel like you're making progress towards the goal because you are. And then I also have a dream life relationship action, and then a dream life health action, because I want to be well-rounded. So you're intentional about your, texting loved ones, scheduling a date night, drinking more water, meal prepping, whatever you decide is a focus. And I know that when I'm intentional, this is my morning routine. This is what I've been doing for years. And so when I'm intentionally doing this, I see major movement. Not, yes, within myself. I feel peaceful. I feel joyful. I feel content, but I also feel ambitious, and I feel movement towards things. I don't feel like I'm spinning my wheels. I feel like I'm headed in a direction, and I'm so excited about the direction because I know it's taking me somewhere.
And Denise, a lot of people, and I've been like this early on in my life, just getting up and not even wanting to jump out of bed, just basically crawl, and that's how you start your day, just like in that position of no fun, another drudgery day. I'm already depressed and I haven't even made it to the bathroom yet. Then you look in the mirror and you're judging in the mirror, you're talking in the mirror. And I call it that inner bully. We talk about bullying out there, that bully is at school or at work, or it could be a family member, but really that bully is within us. It's in our brain. And we would never allow somebody to talk to us the way that we talk to ourselves. And you've mentioned retrain the brain multiple times throughout this first part of this interview. What does that mean? And how can I help eliminate those thoughts?
Yeah, and this journal is going to help create new ones. And so really what that means is it's like a gutter when you're bowling and all of a sudden your thought goes into this gutter and it just is stuck there. And it's a habitual thought. It's maybe something is triggered and all of a sudden you go down this rabbit trail again. And just like you mentioned earlier, when somebody says something to us that's rude, it's typically about them. If we're triggered in this negative way, then that's about us. And somebody could say something to me, and if I'm triggered, that means I know that that's a soft spot for me, and I need to work on that. So an example of that is if someone says, whoa, Denise, you travel too much. I would, if I'm secure in my motherhood and in my business and who I am and what I want, I'd be like, thanks for your opinion, but that's not true. I pick my kids up from school every day. We have awesome family dinners and dance parties after dinner. Like, you don't know. Like, I love it. Traveling is a break, but if I was insecure in that and someone mentioned that to me, then that might trigger me to go down this rabbit trail of negative thinking. And so what the journal does and what retraining your brain really means is being secure in who you are and what you want. So that way you're not triggered as much because you are secure and you have that self-love. And those negative thoughts really, I think I don't know if elimination is the word. I certainly think I know I still have some triggers and I still have to, but it's noticing them and deciding that it's not true. What do I want? What do I really want to believe about myself? What is true? And when you create those new thought patterns, that becomes your new gutter. That becomes your default. You're not triggered as easily in the negative. You are then triggered in the positive, and you don't even hear negativity anymore. It's just really not even a part of your world because you are so ingrained in these new thought patterns. It changes the way you view yourself, you view others, the way you view the world, and that's the new reality for you.
One of the things that I have people do is just take a journal, yellow pad, whatever, legal pad, and write down your thoughts for the next 48 hours. And because a lot of us, I've talked to people that don't even know they have thoughts. They're not even aware that they're talking to themselves. Kay was going through the checkout at Target the other day, and she was talking to the girl, and she said, "How you doing?" She goes, "We're fine." She said, "We're fine." Who is we're? I'll catch myself going, "Let's," and there's no one there. I'm talking about me, and then there's me. So I think just being aware of that verbiage and that we do have self-limiting beliefs that can hurt us and continue to hurt us for decades. And some people die with these beliefs and thinking, I'm shy, when all of a sudden they're not shy. They're aware that was a program and they're really not shy at all. They have every reason to give and to be that happy person in the room. All right, so let me ask you another question here, because this subject is my favorite because it has a lot to do with success. So someone that's experienced some level of success, they've risen to, let's say it's connected to our business or sports, to a rank, they've gotten a trophy, a medal, and they've had the success, but they can't move to the next level. It seems like they're frozen in that moment. We hear, Dave's a football player, and I'll hear some of the guys that he played football with still talking about high school. We've been out of high school decades and decades, and they're still back in that place, living from that place, and they've missed out on this entire world that has been laid out for them. So how can I achieve that next level of success and not stay stuck?
Yeah, I think there's an element of setting a goal, hitting it, and then feeling like you run through the finish line and you're like, woohoo, I did it. And that's great. Give yourself a pat on the back, go out to dinner, enjoy, have fun, celebrate, but then always ask yourself, what's next? What's next for you? And I had to do that over and over and over and over again with my business. I got to a place where certainly there were money goals, certainly there were family goals, certainly there were travel goals. But when I really dug down deep, I realized that I was living my life purpose in this business. And it got so expansive to me that there was no other option. So for those that have gotten to this place where you hit a goal and then you sit there, yeah, I would love again to say like, well, what's next for you? What is it that you want? And you can certainly start with your family and, paying off debt, goals, traveling, things like that. But when you really connect your team, this business, health, all of the things that we get to do with your mission, game over. Game over. I met with a girl on Tuesday and she said, I said, well, what is your biggest barrier? And she said, I think it's time. And I said, is it time or is it belief? And she said, Well, really, I have time. She doesn't have kids. She works a full-time job, but has time. She said it's probably belief. And so we went through these exercises of really, 30 things I want to be, 30 things I want to do, 30 things I want to have. What is your dream day? And we went through a life purpose exercise. Like, what connects with you? What do you want to bring to the world? And when she connected her life purpose to her business, she was like, I have time. Like, time is not the issue because the fire is lit. And that is what I did early on. So I knew I was supposed to be here. I knew it was just a matter of digging deep and going for the next goal and making things happen. I tried to make it fun along the way. And we did leadership retreats and leadership series where, book clubs and things with my team. So we all were head down and growing together. And it just made it so fun. I think the problem comes in is when you feel like you run through the finish line, you look up and then you start looking around and then you get distracted. And so head down, focused, buried with your team is the most fun place to be.
You get into judgment and you look around and go, oh, they're my level, but they're making X amount more than me, or they have a bigger team. And really that is, to me, that's that self-talk that is disempowering, and it comes from that place of unworthiness. I don't really deserve this. I don't even know how I got here. And, I was raised in church, and unfortunately, there was a lot within the dynamics of that church about not being what we call greedy, asking for more, staying complacent. The rich get richer, not a good connotation on that at all when they do because they believe that. Now that I know all that I know, that was not a powerful place for a child to grow up. And I've had to really work on shifting those paradigms. What could you say to that? Because a lot of people will get to a certain point and say, you're questioning everything here that I've got about God, when this is exactly what we're saying that he wants for us.
Yeah. Ooh, money mindset. There's a lot of cultural family dynamics and, society dynamics that impact our money mindset when money itself is a neutral thing. It's just there. In fact, most of us don't even carry money anymore. We just have plastic things in our wallet. And so I really did have to shift that as well. I really had to shift that money makes a good person better. We can do a lot of great things with money, and it's not about the money. It's about the heart and the person behind the money. And I also felt like I had to release some unnecessary guilt, because there was guilt of feeling like I shouldn't want more, because look, I should just be grateful for what I have, which of course we are, but I also don't want to be stagnant. I want to continue growing. And for me, they're connected. When I grow, the money will come. If I'm adding value, the money will come. I'm not worried about the money. I'm worried. I focus on my growth. I focus on adding value. I focus on making an impact, and I trust that the money will follow. But if I'm not focused on growth, then I'm dying. So one exercise, Pam, that we talked about this past week was writing a letter to money. Sometimes we have these attachments, emotional attachments to money that just aren't true. Honestly, I find that people that don't have money talk about it way more than people that do. Always talking about, well, this was only $2, or this was $10, or this was, I'm like, I don't. So anyway, it's just interesting. And so write a letter to money. Really identify the emotional strings that you have to it and recognize that it just may not be true for you either.
All right. So let's write a letter to money and say that we love it. Right?
Yes.
Say, thank you. I appreciate you being in my life. I appreciate you walking with me daily and helping me get the things that my family needs. I appreciate you for allowing me the opportunity to give back and just falling in love with it, and not in love with it the way that we were taught. Oh, that's not good. That's being greedy. It's loving just that what it is. It is just something in our lives where everywhere we go, people take it. And so why not fall in love with it in a great way and allow it to grow in our lives instead of pushing it away, which those very things that most of us say are pushing it away. And I even have people, and I know you have, Denise, that get to a certain money mindset, a certain level, and they stay stuck in that level. It could be $3,000 a month. It could be $300 a month. What could they do right now? Is that writing that letter? And in that letter, what would they say?
Yeah, it's writing that letter. It's, and a lot of times it comes down to identity. And identity growing. Like if you grow up in a broke home and you have the identity of I'm a broke person, I'm always broke, I live paycheck to paycheck. Like those are the I am statements that you can begin to shift for yourself. I am financially free. I am debt free. I have abundant resources. I have overflow. You start speaking differently about it and things start to shift. But what I've found, Pam, is it doesn't shift and then you change what you think. Often you change and shift your identity and then you start seeing the outside shift as well.
Yeah, you do. It's so fascinating. I love it. All right.
It works every time. You may learn roadblocks or you're going to grow along the way, but it always works. It's amazing.
Okay, so based on your training, you've been a clinical psychologist. Awesome. You're an entrepreneur. How do mindsets affect our overall well-being? Because we're not just talking about money here. We're talking about life. It's about waking up and feeling good about who we are. So how does that affect our level of success in life?
Well, we now know that health is more connected to guilt, resentment, anger, all of those negative emotions than anything else, not even stress. And so our thought patterns, the way we view the world, letting go of the guilt and resentment and baggage and really choosing our thought life intentionally, it has that domino effect. It really does. It dominoes not just with your business, it dominoes the success you have in your business because you're doing the work with a higher belief and a higher energy level and people gravitate towards that. It impacts your relationships because when you become what you think about, you need to think about who you want to become. And it just dominoes into health, into relationships, into money, into experiences, your ability to give back. And so this is why I say, what do you want to become? And then think about that. So one exercise I have people do is I'll say, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And just write it all down, like brain dump, right? And then you can turn that into your affirmations. I am. And speak about it in present tense because that's part of this journey is shifting our identity, is changing those thought patterns and embodying the person that we want to be. If you looked at me 12 years ago, I am a completely different person. I have blossomed. I'm using my gifts to give back in a way I never would have expected, but it's because I've done this work. And it's really like you can be in a different place in a year if you let it.
All right. So there's been a lot of studies and a lot of books written about forming new habits. Are they important?
Okay. So one reason why habits are important is because when you do it habitually, it goes into a different part of your brain where you don't have to think so hard, and it's something new. You're like, there's a lot of focus and it's, it can feel challenging, but you think of brushing your teeth. It's a habit and you don't even have to use brain space to do it. My son is learning to ride a bike. At first, it's tricky. It's hard. And then it becomes so habitual that we use it as a joke. Oh, just like riding a bike. It just comes back to you. So we all have habits. And when you have success habits, it becomes so habitual and easy that you do it without thinking. And all of a sudden, you're working out every day. All of a sudden, you're calling leads every day. All of a sudden, you're connecting with your team and it's a new success habit and it's taking you in a place where you want to go.
Oh, I love that. It is so true. I think about my workout now. I got back into the gym when we found out our grandson Kennedy was going to be coming along. I'm like, I don't know if I can get up off the floor. So I got back into the gym and I've totally changed my mindset. It's a habit now. I can't wait to get in there and work out. I feel so much better about myself after I do that. So it's just something that simple can really change your entire day. So just one habit. I think people get overwhelmed. They've got a lot of habits they don't like. They think that I've got to change. It's got to be all or nothing. And I find focusing on one at a time for me works. And that is a trickle effect.
You know, you think about coming home after work. I did this when I was working full time. If I just came home from work, it was a 20-minute drive, and I would be tired. And I would be like, oh, I'm so tired. I just want to veg out. And I would do nothing for my business. When I made it a point to this 1% change to call 5 people on my way home from work, that was my goal. 5 people on my way home. I knew I was going to leave messages. This was like before Facebook. I knew I was going to connect with just a few, but the others I'd leave messages for. I got motivated. And that 1% change, not only did I call 5 people on the way home from work, it rejuvenated me to do so. And I did more when I got home. So it didn't have to be a big deal. It was just a small 1% shift that took me in a different direction.
It's like my workouts took me in a direction of eating better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then eating better has taken me into a direction of purchasing different types of clothes. You know, having a different way that I feel and walk. It's just amazing how that works. All right, so let's talk about this. Some of the pitfalls you've avoided while pursuing your dream of a non-traditional 9-to-5 work schedule. What were those? Some of those, because that, just like you said, being tired when you get home. A lot of people start in this industry with full-time careers, kids at home, saying, I'm just too busy, when the insanity is continuing to do that over and over and never getting anywhere different. And 5 years go by, 10 years go by.
This is why I love the journal, because you're creating your one goal, and you're doing a couple things towards that goal every day. So it doesn't need to be an hour. It doesn't need to be 5 hours. It can be if you've got that time, but you can really make a difference and make a dent, make movement in this one goal just by staying focused and intentional on it. So, I mean, a lot of pitfalls, because I grew up in a home. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was a accountant. My brother's a lawyer. My sister's a presidential in the business, and she finally jumped on board after 5 years of me doing this. But I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs. And so again, I didn't think that I was a leader. I didn't think I was creative. I didn't think I was a salesperson. I didn't think that I was any of the things this business would teach me. And so for me, it was a lot of identity shifts. It was certainly the time management, but it was a lot of the identity shifts that come with taking action and doing it. So I put just little goals like that in my calendar when I was working, of call 5 people on my way home. Those little goals, domino affected me into taking more action. But then I also really started to do the personal development and shift my identity and just grow in my identity. Doesn't mean I'm different than I was before. I've just grown. And I think if I really hadn't gotten into this space, I wouldn't have had the home to grow. I wouldn't have had a reason to grow. It would have been a lot easier just to stay. And I know a lot of people stay where they're restless, even if they don't like it, because it's easy. They understand it. They know it. It's comfortable. And I'm so grateful that this business, I always say the how shows up for you. This business was our how, and it gave us that path where we could really just not only experience success in our business, but all over.
Oh, I love that. Now, you've got a Dream Life series. What is that?
So we've got the Dream Life Journal that's coming out. I also have an action planner, because again, Pam, everybody asks me, what is the how? Like, tell me how. And if you go to denisewalsh.com/action, you'll get the free action planner. And this is my time management tool. This is what I do when I have a new priority. And this allows you to rank your priorities, ask for help if you need it, not think you need to be super mom or super dad and do everything yourself, but really identify what is the most important thing right now and prioritize it in your calendar. And then we have a workbook coming out as well. So that's coming out in a few months. Lots of fun things happening with that. And the workbook is a full-blown, like all of it. It's letting go of fear, guilt, resentment. It's really getting clear on what you want. It's really like the science and scripture that connects why affirmations and visualization and all of the things we teach work and why it's important to embody this. And I'm really, really excited for that. And the journal is just the first piece of it. So that is actually going to launch tomorrow, and you guys can get it in your hands and start designing your own dream life, because I'm living proof. I'm so passionate about this because I know that it works. So I want everyone to experience it for themselves.
I can't wait to get my hands on it. I really can. I had a sneak peek, and Denise, you poured every ounce of love, energy, and knowledge into this. And I know it's going to help change so many people's lives. So I just appreciate the heck out of you. I love the fact that I can call you friend, mentor, sidekick, and just everything that's out there that a woman would want in her life, she can find in a friend like you. So thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. Again, just great vision, great knowledge, just everything that any one of us could possibly want in our lives can be found through you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Pam.
Oh, so welcome. And we'll say goodbye to everyone. Thank you for listening. Make sure you go to PamSowder.com. If you have a specific question for us, just ask and we'll be glad to answer. So thanks for joining in. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Pam Sowder Podcast. Be sure to check out my website at PamSowder.com. There you can get inspired, listen to more podcasts, read and submit Ask Pam questions that could be featured on an upcoming podcast episode. Be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And as always, much love and appreciation.